You may have seen John McEnroe's name trending, and you may think after seeing it, you cannot be serious.
Not like
after reading what it was said, right? So let's give some little concept straight away. There's some debate going on. John McEnroe said some comments in an NPR interview as we throw up the headline here, which straight from the bat, when talking about Serena Williams, he said she would be 700th in men's circuit. So just to provide some context about the conversation, I was reading up on some of the articles earlier. He did actually respond to this on the Good Morning Show, I believe,
CBS
as well.
Morning Show, which we'll throw to after the contest.
Yeah, so he was asked in a sequence of questions about Serena Williams, and he said that she was the best female tennis player of all time. And that is true, because she is, right? But then the reporter asked, well, you state the distinction there, female tennis player. Would you not say one of the best tennis players of all time? And his response along the line was, well, best tennis player of all time, period? And he was responding, yes, why make the distinction, the reporter asked. And he responded, well, if you inserted her into the men's circuit, she would finish 700th. So before we get to my thoughts on it and Jason's thoughts on it, this is what Serena Williams said on the matter. She sent out these tweets. Dear John, I adore and respect you, but please, please, please keep me out of your statements that are not factually based. She continued, I've never played anyone ranked there, nor do I have time. Respect me and my privacy as I'm trying to have a baby. Good day, sir. So she responded, as always, with the professionalism that just oozes out of Serena Williams.
Right? You can't, look, she's as class of an athlete as you can be. She's as professional of an athlete as you can be. And I'm gonna stop talking there and let you continue.
So, all right, so here are my thoughts. I'm gonna give me like 2 minutes just to vent about this thing.
Hit me.
And then you can come back, right? So
I don't have much of a good comeback, but I just have opinions.
No, well, I mean, right, so the statement as a whole shouldn't even have been mentioned in that. And my point being, if the reporter had asked him, oh, well, how do you think she would compete against a man? One, the reporter should be scrutinized if that was a question, because it's so stupid. And these questions come up all the time, and they shouldn't even come up in any sort of regard when it comes to admiring a woman's ability in her sport. Never once should it pop up in someone's head just as a means to diminish how good someone is. Oh, she's so good, she's got 23 titles. But how is she compete against guys? Because it's just a way of belittling the accomplishments. It's not needed whatsoever. But in this situation, the reporter didn't even ask that. He just asked why not distinguish her as one of the best tennis players of all time, period, which she is. So John McEnroe's reasoning as to why she's not is so stupid. And I like John McEnroe. I don't think he's being like straightforward as sexist. I don't think he even knows how sexist it comes across, and people are every right to get angry. I think he's just naive. He's oblivious, and I think it's this constant need for us in society, guys, by the way, I'm speaking to us in general, and call me whatever you want to call me by. I just think that we always need to find a way to compare a woman when it gets to the point that she's considered on level par with some of the greatest, such as what happens with Ronda Rousey. She's so good before her downfall, so good, but how would she fare up against a guy? Why is that even a fucking thing? Why are you even thinking that? It doesn't need to be considered. They're in a sport that is designated specifically for them as well. So why does it need to cross over in order to validate how good they are? They're good enough simply being against women, and if they're dominating, then they're dominating. Ronda Rousey was one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. Just because she was in a women's division, just because you might think it's not competitive or as physical, and there are obviously a lot of like substance to that conversation about the physicality and the differences. But it should not come up as a means to diminish a woman in her efforts and what she accomplishes by comparing it to how she would fare against men.
I think Serena could have been a better UFC fighter than Ronda. She's strong, man.
Why was it necessary for you to say that anybody, Serena, couldn't beat the 700th player on the men's circuit?
As you know well enough, Charlie, I've respect Serena very much so, okay? And I was simply calling her on an NPR, which supposedly you're supposed to, this is where you can say it like it is and you're gonna get honest feedback. She's the greatest female player that ever lived. Then the lady said to me, I don't remember which one, but she said, why did you say woman? Why don't you just say the greatest, tennis player that ever lived? And so then I felt the need, however, unfortunately, I'm probably to defend Myself, I don't know, just say what I really felt. I mean, which is about what I think she would be. I think you're referring to the fact that I said she'd be about 700 in the world.
Yeah.
Right.
I've got a solution, Gail, though, because I know that you're friendly with Serena, and I think at least until yesterday,
the table right now.
I'm just waiting.
can't
Would you
wait.
like to apologize?
no. But
I'm waiting for what you're gonna offer.
the offer is this: is because it seems in tennis, unlike other sports, that they're always asking about how women. They always ask me how I would do for someone. Why isn't this old bag John McEnroe? How would he do against Serena? Why don't you combine? Just solve the problem. I'm sure the men would be all for this. The men and women play together, and then we don't have to guess.
His comments are stupid, but his comments are not wrong. If you're having the conversation that is she the greatest tennis player ever, and you are throwing all tennis players into one category, and as the CBS Morning Show kind of said, why not have the men and the women play together? Then we don't have to have this conversation anymore. And CBS kind of kept probing, saying, well, we're having this conversation and you're making it frustrating, and do you want to apologize? And he goes, no. Look, if you don't know who John McEnroe is, of course this is going to come off as like, who the F is this guy trying to be back in the headlines? But at the same time, John McEnroe was a #1 tennis player at one point, ranked #1, and is a tennis Hall of Famer. So it's not like he's walking around like never having played the game before. He obviously has severe anger issues when he used to throw his racket at the umpire.
Yeah.
Look, man, he's a purebred New Yorker. Like, he's angry all the time, would push probably a pregnant Serena Williams off the subway if he had to be somewhere on time. It's just who he is. Is there any excuses I'm making for him? No, it makes him a dick, but doesn't necessarily make him wrong. I don't know if she'd be the 700th ranked tennis player, but even Serena Williams herself said, if I played Andy Murray, I'd lose 6-0, 6-0 in 5 to 6 minutes, maybe 10 if I'm lucky. So we're not trying to compare Serena Williams to Novak Djokovic and Andy Murray and all these things, but in her sport, if we're gonna hold the sports separate with each other, yeah, sure, it's the same game of tennis, but it's a different sport, right?
That's what it is.
Women's sports are different than men's sports. She's the greatest ever in her sport. So I think part of this gets blown out of proportion. I think what's also amazing is in like 3 weeks, no one's gonna give a crap anymore. John McEnroe, he's doing his book tour, and in his book he mentions that she'd be the 700th ranked tennis player on the men's circuit. But of course it's stupid, but it's not wrong. So I don't know where you put this one. Should it have been brought up? No. Now that it's brought up, everyone's angry. There's no winning in these situations anymore. I get it. In today's interviewing sense, a lot of people say things for attention. I don't think that's McEnroe's ploy here. I think that's he's always been somebody to just to ruffle feathers, as you would put it. And he's brash, and he's probably rude, and he shouldn't be my role model.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's who he is. And if you can't change a stripe on a tiger or spot on a leopard, you're not gonna be able to change John McEnroe for being John McEnroe. So yeah, Serena Williams answered the best way possible. She took the high road, I believe, in this situation. Leave the baby alone, leave the privacy alone. No one's taking away, because everyone understands that Serena Williams is one of the greatest athletes of all time. Also, Serena Williams would kick my ass in any sport. Any sport. Name the sport, Serena, and I will lose to you.
So, but the thing is that, again, it's like, yeah, there's obviously truth to a lot of these statements that come up. It's like, it's like, I saw it as well. It's like people were almost downplaying how good the US women's national team were. Because of the level of competition they play, or the speed of the sport, and that's why they shouldn't be maybe as making as much money as the men's soccer players, because even though they're the best in the world, the men's need to play against tougher competition. It's like these comparisons, no one's asking for them. You never hear, by the way, I don't know if I'm wrong, but you're not gonna hear like a woman come out, Serena Williams being like, oh, he's that good, but I wonder how he'll fare against me or something like that, or someone against that sport. Maybe that's because they just don't think that's a needed conversation. And I think that it's more often than not, we'll see reporters at times ask the stupid questions, especially when it came to around Ronda Rousey, that just don't need to be asked. Like, if you don't think Serena Williams is one of the greatest tennis players of all time, John McEnroe, then you have enough knowledge and statistics right there. There's every case that you say that Roger Federer is better than her because of what he was able to do in the game against his level of competition. So why does it need to be this crossover? That because she couldn't beat Roger Federer, that means that she's not one of the greatest tennis players of all time.
The answer McEnroe should have gone with was, yeah, sure, one of the greatest ever.
It's because it's...
That's it. That's all he had to say, but that's not what he said.
But the amount with the consistency that she performs at in amongst her competition.
And sometimes pregnant.
It's like, and I was trying to think of a way to be like, they're obviously the same sport, right? They play by the same set of rules, and it's the same, like, you'll watch the same sport. Yeah, it's different levels, but it's they approach it in a different way because there's different physicalities there. It just, to me, is like, it's just so stupid of an argument. In my head, it's the same argument as saying, all right, LeBron James is such a fantastic basketball player, but could he do it on a football field? You know, is that athleticism, like maybe saying he's that athletic, but could he do it in a football field because is that athleticism going to transfer over? It's just comparing apples to oranges when you don't need to do it, when you just need to leave it.
What are we about to see within male sports?
Yeah, you're about to see a crossover.
I was going to say, Greg Connor's like, he's such an athlete, so that means the response should be, why is this happening?
It's just...
It's a circus act.
Yeah, I just feel like it happens as a way to... Like, I don't think everybody that makes that comparison, most people are just curious.
Of course,
right?
of course.
But I think that when it gets taken out of context, in this scenario, when you're talking about a woman that has obtained and achieved some of the most remarkable accolades for any sports person, that when you put it in the same... When you use her ability to compete with men, in that context, I think, to me, it just diminishes her accomplishments. And I don't like it. It leaves a bad taste in my mouth as to like, well, she was ranked 700, so is her accomplishments really that good? No, they are.
Yeah, some of that's a little pride from, like, people are adding their own context.
Yeah, that's just how I think. I don't think he meant that. I just think
that's part of what's important to the whole conversation is how much context are we adding into it, and amongst other people having it across Twitter, because 140 characters, by the way, has always been the best way. By the way, I've already said you can take me to Twitter jail for agreeing with John McEnroe. I don't think you will. I mean, I'm fine. I'll go. I'm not happily. I love the Twitter. Yeah. I don't want to be in Twitter jail. I haven't even been in jail. Ever been arrested?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever spent a night in jail?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've been arrested, but not a night in jail.
Rough, man.
Rough.
Scottish jails. Rough.
Twitter jail will be.
Did you read the story recently about a guy that had spent 6 months in Rikers?
But how would he have fared in a woman's prison?
No, but he was yeah, sure. He was in Rikers, but apparently he spent 6 months because he wasn't informed that his bail was $1.
His bail was $1? I'd also be like, I don't know if I can.
It's so fucked up.
$1. If bail was like $17.50, I'd be like $17. I'd be like, I don't know if I can.
Brutal.
If I wait, I can get Chipotle.
Makes me just think of that show.
Chipotle Tuesday money or bail money? Got to make these decisions.
The night of
also,
unbelievable show.
Is jail air conditioned? I've always wanted to know. Is jail have air conditioning?
I don't know, Jason.
Like definitely no?
I don't think so, man.
Definitely no.
It definitely depends on what area you're in.
I'm just curious, like, because it's been hot in LA, and I'm thinking, if I go get arrested, it'd be like, at least I got some fucking air conditioning. If you have to spend in the police station,
I'm glad
that's
you're finding some sort of. How can you
I would just be knocking on the bars, being like, "Excuse me, can we turn it down to 68? It's a little bit hot in here. Thank you."
Oh man. All right. Well, of course we digress, because if you're just tuning into our show to watch this conversation about Serena Williams and John McEnroe, you probably haven't realized that we actually do this quite a lot. We do digress away from the topic, but if you look back earlier in the video, you'll see some very strong opinions as to this video. So let us know what you think in the comments. I'm sure you've already done so already. My guess is that most people are siding with Jason's point of view.
Look, man, I had 6 sisters. People probably think I'm a sexist motherfucker.
No, I'm not arguing with the stats of it either. Like, I'm never arguing.
There's a lot of them
to it.
I'm afraid of women.
It's always that point. Is like Albus Dumbledore, I'm sure, said it once.
Which one? The
something
old
about
actor,
truth.
The new actor?
Just because it's true, does it mean? I don't know. He probably said something in line with that. I was reading all the quotes yesterday.
Yo, Wizard Harry. That's not fucking Dumbledore, not Dumbledore.
It's not our talent that defines us, it's our choices. Something, I'm paraphrasing, but what a guy.
Sounds good.